Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zach Brown, and joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. We were in Knoxville this past weekend for the Hall of Fame induction class of 2025 for Davy Brown Jr. getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. It was really a top-notch facility, really, really well organized. They did a really good job. It still has that small town feel when you go to the banquet, though, but it was a lot busier than we expected. Got to see some racing at Knoxville. I'll post some clips as we're going throughout this, but it was really, really cool. It was a bucket list for me to see Knoxville. I've never been to Knoxville. I mean, you're not missing much from right outside of Knoxville. There's not a whole lot there, but the facility is really nice. It's a fantastic racing surface. The race was really good, and just a lot of great people there that made everything come together. The Hall of Fame was really, really awesome to see. A lot, really cool to see all the legends that were there that made it a
Yeah.
point to be there. And that's really all I'm going to say. I know you want to take it away and kind of touch on some things for Davies induction, so you go ahead.
Well, the one thing was pretty cool. Uh, Indy 500 winner Johnny Rutherford was there. Uh, Ken Schrader was there. I mean, that was pretty awesome, you know. But and if you see, it's Dad kind of overshadows a little bit of everybody. He's so popular and everything. They kind of get sidetracked, I think, a little bit from Davies and induction. But just some of the things I wanted to say that people really forget how good Davy was on the chassis. Especially like, back in well, pretty much, I mean, starting with Lynn Paxson, they were kind of together, but once when we sort of got to the Weichert deal, it was more of Davy doing the cars the whole time and Dad doing the engines. And we actually had the whole package. Wolfgang designed and built his own cars, and then Dad, we did our own engines, and then Davey on the chassis. The car never broke down. We won 55 races out of 110. I think 32, 33 second place finishes. It was an unreal thing, and like I said, it's funny. Most of my memories is like, I got to be with Davey a lot, racing. We won a whole bunch of races, and I'm just sitting there. I really can't think of one like victory lane memory that stands out. It's the little things that I remember. Like he was showing me how to like groove a tire. So he's grooving a tire. He cuts a piece of the tire off, sticks it in his mouth, and chews on it. Okay. So I'm going to groove a tire, stick the piece in my mouth, start chewing on it. It's nasty. I do not recommend it. You may or may not remember this, but showing you how to groove tires, cut a piece off, stick it in my mouth.
I think I do remember that.
Just little things like that a lot of people don't really know. It's You look back on it now, you don't you see the greatness that the whole that and how good he was. To me, he was just my brother. We play basketball and different things and ride four-wheelers. I remember one time, I think I think we were going to Ohio Speedway, but we stayed up all night building a new car, and it was about, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning. Dave was like, "Well, we might as well just stay up and go out here and beat the shit out of some four-wheelers." This is over on Weichert's farm. So, like I said, it's funny that that's the stuff that I remember, and people don't get to hear that side of it. I do know when we went out, the '85 Kings Royal. It was right after Davey's wife passed away, and he didn't go. And so we did win that with Wolfgang. And I remember the first thing Dad said was, "We'd have been a lot faster if Davey was here." So Dad doesn't give a whole lot of accolades. So that coming from Dad is high praise for sure.
Well, I was never fortunate enough to really know Davey. I mean, I've heard. I mean, he was around when I was really really little, so I wouldn't remember. Apparently, I nearly drowned in his pool. So that's like the biggest story that I've heard from around the family. Uh, But all I could see is like through everybody else's eyes, and and even so, I wanted to say this. I was posting on X about the whole induction and everything, and Dale Blaney, who Davey was the crew chief for a couple of years in the All
Yeah.
Star Series, he actually had a nice little thing to say. I don't think Dale goes on social media too often, so it was really nice to see him to post something. But he's like, we won 29 All Star races in 2 years, which is insane. Nobody
Yeah.
wins 15 races a year anymore. Even in today's like with David Gravel and all those drivers, you don't win 15 a year. Even like Larson, Brad Sweet, that doesn't happen. Hey, we just don't see that happen. He said he was pretty special. It made his job easy. And he even said he was really similar to George Fisher in certain aspects. So that was really nice to see Dale mention that about Davey.
Yeah, I remember Dale said once before that he was, a master at his craft, which is for sure the case. And it's funny that just the way Dad's mind and Davy mind work are a little bit different. Dad's very calculated and really wants to know why things work, how things work, and what. Davy just had a knack for knowing exactly what to do for this certain track conditions, and 99% of the time he was spot on. So it's pretty neat that like Dad will think about it and try to figure out, in his brain how everything's going to work. And Davy's like, oh, here's how we do it, and we do it, and off we go. And like I said, that worked for him. I was probably closer towards Dad. I always like to know how things work, and
Yeah,
most of the time my brain's 10 minutes behind, and then after the fact, it's like, ah, yeah, I should have done
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah. Again, it was really cool to just see, and they unveiled the plaque. I'll post a picture of the plaque on here too, and it'll probably be on the front of it.
Yeah, it
Really,
was
really,
it was really neat. It was like you said, it was way bigger than I thought would probably be 50 people. I don't know what it was.
I had to be close to
Three,
200.
400.
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple
Yeah,
hundred people.
it was
The
and they shout out to the Rib Shack. The food was yum.
So good, so good. It was so good. I would have ate the whole dang beef tenderloin. They just gave me that whole dang thing. I would have tore that thing up. It was great. Uh, Bob Baker, the director of the Hall of Fame, just a fantastic job. Another well organized, very, very highly professional thing he's got going on in Knoxville. It was cool, really awesome that they allowed us to go in the suites and watch some racing afterward,
Yep.
which that was really cool. You and Papa got to sit with each other and talk about the racing. Is you don't get to do that often now, so that was really cool from my perspective to see that. And obviously, I couldn't stay in the suite long because I wanted to actually go smell the cars because I'm weird. But it's just I don't sit in suites for races. I have to be out there, and that was really cool. Yeah, the facility's great, and a lot of PA racers came out there because they're heading up to Houston for this weekend.
Yep.
Houston actually just raced yesterday, racing tonight. The $250,000 to win on Saturday, so it's a really big week for Outlaws, and I think it's the total purse over the whole week is like if you win all of them, it's like getting close to like $1 million now, which is insane. And then you have the $1 million race a couple years ago from Eldora, so maybe they'll have that again. Which actually, speaking of that, Logan Shark's $1 million car was at the
Yep.
museum,
That's
so that
pretty
was
cool to see out there.
that was neat. And yeah, there were a lot of cool things, and is it was really fun. Probably wouldn't stay longer than a couple days in Iowa because ain't nothing to do, and there's a reason they call it a flyover state. Just fly over it. But I understand why it's the Hall of Fame location. It's the central of the entire country, and I mean Knoxville is the Knoxville Nationals, so it makes sense why it's all there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking for something to do, you can go to Casey's.
You can go over to Altoona and go to the casino.
That's about it. But it was a good little trip, good little getaway. It was really cool for the family with the honor that everybody was giving the entire family. So that was really cool to see, and cool to see again all the Hall of Famers that were there, and then random legends in the sport that came. Like you said, Ken Schrader was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Schrader comes up and talking to Dad, just like they've been friends for years, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was.
Johnny Rutherford. I mean, I know there's other ones there, and I can't think off the top of my head.
Well, even in the inductees, I mean, Todd Schaefer, I never met Todd before, but I didn't realize how awesome of a personality he was. He smiled every second I saw him, and he was so
Yeah, yeah,
upbeat. He
he
was
was very,
excited to be there.
and good, well deserved because he's actually Todd said in his speech like, he's because he raced with Raymer and Donnie and Lance and all those guys are in the Hall of Fame. He's like, well, and Todd could hold his own with those guys. So and Keith Kaufman. So good to see Todd Schaefer in there. That's well deserved.
Yep. Well, yeah, I think that wraps up with that little recap of the Hall of Fame. Again, really awesome. I'm glad to see all that. And Sprint Car Action, again, we said it's in full effect this week. We'll recap everything at Houston's at next week. Outlaws, and the All Stars are also up there. Those drivers are, and you'll see high limit drivers up there. I'm pretty sure Larson's racing for the 250,000 because he'd be stupid not to race for the
Yeah,
250,000. Everybody's going to race for it. Rico's going to be up there. I'm sure Brad Sweet's going to
yeah,
be up
yeah.
there.
Macri's heading up. TJ Stutz is heading up.
Yep. And Lucas Wolf's going up there.
Lucas Wolf. I was like,
He
there was
was,
one other one that was from
yeah, it was
PA
really,
out of
I was like, why
Nashville.
are all these PA guys here? And then I was like, oh, Houston's, and it's just right. You go straight
And you
up
know
the
what?
highway.
Especially if some of them guys plan on running the Knoxville Nationals, you just don't go out to Knoxville and be fast without running it. I mean, that's definitely uh, an interesting. There's nothing special the way the track looks, but it definitely drives different than most of them. And you could really see it from the sweets how, and especially Macri, like he go into turn three and start turning in, he'd have to straighten back out and then turn again. I don't. It's just a sight thing. That's really messing with these guys. Some of the like the especially the fast local guys like Brian Brown and those guys, they had such a smooth arc into it, and just not being there, you don't quite get the timing or the feel or something there. It's definitely a little bit different.
Yeah, and then you randomly have Larson who can just continue to dominate
Yeah, well,
Knoxville.
there's exceptions to every rule.
We'll see if he could do 3 years in a row when we preview Knoxville later on. If 3 years in a row leading every single lap again, I don't think
Yeah.
that's ever been done. So that would be absolutely insane to see. But yeah, moving from sprint car, quick recap on NASCAR at Nashville. A lot of people were saying that was the best race of the season. It's up there. I don't think it was the best race of the season, but it got good, especially when, of course, Ryan Blaney ends up winning because mom picked him, and we knew that he was going to end up winning when she picked him to win. And I mean, he just kind of methodically made his way up, kind of did a Ryan Blaney race. Ryan Blaney doesn't dominate races when he wins. He
Yeah.
makes his way up through, works on the car, especially these transition to night races. That's how they kind of roll. And at the end, he just finds his way and he won't give up that lead. And it was for his first win late season. Finally, his luck's turning around. But it was a pretty good race. I like Nashville. I really do. I really like Nashville Super Speedway. I love the concrete tracks. It just puts on a whole different show. It's not the same run of the mill type of asphalt track, and it's completely shaped different than any other track too.
Yeah.
Smaller than most super speedways, but enough to be called a super speedway because it's over a mile. But it's just a unique track, and I like it. I wish they would go. I think that should be a playoff race. Personally, I think that would be a huge attraction, especially being in Nashville.
Just don't put it on Sunday night. That's
No,
just
it could have been Saturday night. I wish it was. Yeah, I've been calling for it like you do the Friday night truck race, Saturday afternoon Xfinity, and then Saturday night Cup Series race if you want to do a night race for the Cup. What do I know? Yeah,
yeah.
but they packed the place. Another great broadcast by Prime. They're continuing to knock it out of the park, and I haven't seen the numbers again from this past week, but I think they're only going to continue
Well,
to.
there was one thing, and I don't know how accurate it was, but it was actually down quite a bit from the race last year, which was on NBC network TV. So there's some reason, and the other reason is going to be Sunday night. Like we were flying and we were delayed and got home late. I didn't see hardly any of the race.
Yeah.
And I just watched some highlights the next morning.
Well, and it's going to continue to grow. People are going to just have to start getting used to that streaming is the future.
Yeah,
Network TV's really going out of business as Chandler's running around being crazy behind me.
in his
But
underwear.
that's just the reality of it. That's what they're going to, and
Yeah,
I know I talked about it, touched on it last week. They're going to go to another streaming platform eventually. You're going to see it be exclusively one day on a streaming platform because I think eventually these cable network things they're going to become obsolete. They're not going to exist anymore, really. So they'll be there, but it's just not going to be the same. The new generation they don't have cable television. That's just the
yeah,
reality of it. You have all these, and I saw Mike Joyce on he was talking to Kevin Harvick on his podcast. The fan base is getting older, but the drivers are still continuously getting younger.
right.
You've got young drivers like Connor Zilic coming up through there. You got Carson Guapo coming up, and the fan base is still just getting older. So you have to find a way to bring the young people into the sport so they can follow these young drivers, and then it just ends up being just a complete ever revolving door, just like it's always been with NASCAR. They're doing things right. They're going back to the right tracks. You'll see in Mexico City before too long. That's what they're trying a little bit different, trying something new there. I think it will be a big hit. I'm
I think it
not the
will.
biggest fan of them going to Mexico City. I think there's some other tracks I'd like to see them go to before that. But the reality of it, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that younger crowd. At least they're not doing with a big ass stupid wing on the back of the cars. Even though those cars did put on really good shows, they're just stupid looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my rant on that.
Well, right now, like if it's not on network TV where you can pick it up with just a cheap set of rabbit ears, people are like, I'm not paying to watch a race. Well, if you're paying for cable or any other, YouTube TV or Hulu, you're still paying for it. I don't have any of those. I do have Prime, so it's
Yeah,
it's easy to watch the race.
$7.
Yeah.
We're cheap asses.
It's like almost who don't have Amazon Prime. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to just continue to grow. Prime is expanding exponentially with everything, especially getting into the sports and all that.
well, just
But
look at all the sprint cars. They're all on paid streaming now, and it's getting hugely popular just because like I can't get up to Williams Grove to watch a race more than once a year. So it's nice to be able to tune in Dirt Vision, watch that, or watch the high limit stuff that I wouldn't be able to see otherwise, because of streaming. Yeah, I mean nothing takes place of going there and watching it live because you do not get the sense of speed or anything like that. But it's still it's a good way to watch it and then you know probably bring new eyes to the sport.
just wait, they're going to have 4D before you know it with like virtual reality, and you're actually smelling the stuff there like you're on the dang Soarin' ride at Disney World and going through all of that. That'll be the next thing, and that'll be pretty
Going
cool.
to movie theaters and watching it in IMAX live.
That'd be sweet. Uh, all right, well, they're heading to Michigan this week. One of uh, one of the tracks that's become one of my favorite races to
Yeah.
watch. And it's usually Father's Day weekend. It's the week before. Mexico City's next week for Father's Day weekend. But Michigan has always been a really lately has been really exciting. Usually, back in the past, they would just be a driver leads at 20 seconds ahead and just
Yeah.
whips
Well, the
everybody.
track's wearing out now.
Yeah, we've said it. Any track that's wearing out is just going to put on better shows.
Yeah,
And
but
this car at Michigan at these bigger tracks puts on better race. We've continuously said
yeah.
this, and it's now these cars don't go 220 miles an hour down the straightaway like they used to. That's just
They'll be hitting 200 at the straightaways though.
they will. They just don't have the high horsepower like they used to have.
Yeah.
I mean they'll have the 550 or whatever in it. It'll still be a good race and actually makes it for a tighter race. The restarts are really exciting at Michigan. It's the crowd loves NASCAR there because it's Michigan, nothing else to do. The Detroit Lions aren't playing yet, so there's nothing else to do in Michigan. Even though Detroit Tigers, I will say they are doing pretty well in baseball, but that's beside the point. But you have a few local drivers from Michigan. I'm pretty sure Keselowski and Hocevar, I want to say, is from Michigan. There's some random people there from Michigan, I believe, and I want to
Yeah,
say,
there was another one from Michigan. I don't remember who it was.
yeah. So this will be a good race. It's a good test to see who's got the speed now. Who has the big track speed. You're going to need to find a little bit more than you would on the Mountain Half tracks. Fords are starting to come into their own now. They're racing a lot better now than they were earlier on the year. Summertime's hitting.
Michigan's a very Ford track too.
It is, but I mean, lately a lot of Chevys have found success there. You saw Junior win in the Batman car, which that was still one of the coolest paint schemes ever. That was a pretty cool car. Kyle Larson got his first ever career win at Michigan. That's when he was racing for Chip Ganassi. So Chevys are strong here. The Toyotas are not as fast here. Denny's pretty solid here, but overall, I mean, they'll do fine, but they're not usually the favorites to win it. It'll be interesting for sure. I think you'll see a Chevy versus a Ford battle though, and going into this race, specifically Penske versus Hendrick.
Probably.
And well, this is the only track that's like this now because they changed California completely up. So
Yeah.
now it's one and is very unique track. A lot wider, three and four than one and two. Different ways you have to arc to go into one and two and three and four. You got to figure out which way's going to be the best. It's usually a lot looser on the bottom. So the high line, you'll see a lot of drivers like Reddick, like Larson, use the high line right against the wall on three and four. And they might even just go stick to the bottom on one and two. You just got to kind of figure it out as the race progresses. You've got, I think Arca's there this weekend. Shout out Caleb Costner's got a brand new sponsor for this
That
weekend
car
going
is
to,
sharp.
yeah, that car is really cool. So shout out to him. Awesome for him to get an opportunity to go to Michigan. Those cars do haul around there. He got to race in Michigan last year too. I'm pretty sure he at least finished the race if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he had a pretty decent
He
finish.
might have got top 10. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
So awesome for him. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities to race. I mean, he's got his own business too, so he's busy. He's got his other drivers that are racing for him, and like the ARCA East Series and the smaller tracks. But it's cool for him to get that opportunity to go to Michigan. And then you got Truck Series as well heading to Michigan. I think Xfinity's off this week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, let's just say I didn't see them on iRacing, so I'm assuming they're not racing. Because I was like, oh, let me race in a Xfinity race today. Nope, it was just not existent. Um, yeah, they're at the Autodromo next week, so they're off this week.
Okay.
Yep, so just trucks and Cup Series. So, what's your quick analysis of Michigan? Then we'll give our fantasy lineups.
Well, like I said, you pretty much nailed it. So Michigan, it's a 2 mile track, and when they first paved it, and of course we had the other style cars, like they were, yeah, all but 220 at the end of the straightaways. So there is drafting involved, but it doesn't draft like Daytona or Atlanta does. Like in the corners, you'll see them probably separate from each other. Like Harvick, Reddick probably around the top. I remember Harvick, Larson. I'm thinking Harvick was so good around the bottom of that track where everybody else was way higher and he was in his own zip code in the bottom. So it's, there's going to be multiple grooves on that thing. If you can get it to go around the bottom, you can be good. You run the top, you're flirting with that thing the whole time. So it's high speed. I think we'll probably see a few cautions on this one. And this is a 400 miler, I
It
believe.
is, and when they went from 500 to 400 on this race, that's one of them. That's
Yeah,
definitely
it's 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 better. You got to make things happen a little quicker now because of the extra, or 100 miles less.
yep. Um, yep, definitely. And I was gonna say something and just slipped my mind. Oh, well, the rumor right now for fantasy, and I happened to just come across this. Take this with a grain of salt. I don't even know who it was from. It was a random tweet I just came across. The rumor is that Carson Hocevar is going to replace Alex Bowman at the end of this year in the 48
Oh, I
car
did
at
not
Hendrick.
see that.
That's just a rumor floating around. I don't know how much truth there is to it. But I was thinking it could be Carson, it could be Connor Zilic going into that car. But with Connor Zilic racing with Trackhouse right now already,
I
probably
just saw something about Connor Zilic, signing something with Trackhouse. I
he's
don't know
getting
how
a
true
couple
that
more.
was
Well, he's
either.
getting a couple more races this year, but you'll see him probably. You might even see him end up taking Daniel Suarez's place if Daniel Suarez just hasn't really delivered. So you might end up seeing him go there very well. Very well could easily go there. But yeah, he's got Red Bull and sponsor with him right now. But that's just a rumor with Carson Hocevar going to replace Alex Bowman. I don't know how much truth there is to it. I like Bowman, so I have no problem with Bowman staying there. He does. It's not like it's when he races really well, it always has bad luck. So it's not
Yeah.
not like he doesn't know how to race.
Well, I mean, Chase Elliott's not any faster than Bowman is right now.
Not really, but
But the other rumor I heard real quick is Ram coming back to the Truck
no,
Series.
that's not a rumor. That's confirmed.
But the rumor has it they're going to run with Cletus McFarland.
That's also looks like it's confirmed.
Is that really a confirmed deal?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of
I'm
posts
not
about
sure
that.
that's who I would have picked, but
Well, there's a lot of this money right now
yeah, I
with
guess.
Cletus. He's got a lot of subscribers on YouTube. I mean, shoot, he's not racing bad.
No, he's not a terrible
He's
driver.
just kind of getting used to racing these cars on the ovals like this, and kind of just learning how to. He's better than a lot of these drivers already that are getting
I
opportunity.
just wonder who's going to be building those trucks.
I don't know. It'll be. I'm curious to see. Um, Curious to see who's all going to be involved in that. I'm sure that that'll be announced within the next few months. I mean, they usually announce a bunch of NASCAR stuff in September time, so kind of we'll keep our eyes open for that. But yeah, how about Carson Hocevar getting second place at Nashville though? And I swear,
Yeah,
if there was a caution, he probably would have.
he was the only one in my fantasy that didn't completely suck.
Hey, he was in mine, but I still sucked. Well, speaking of fantasy, let's give our NASCAR fantasy lineups for Michigan this week. I went first last week, so it is your turn to go ahead with your lineups and your matchups.
All right, so mom put a whooping on us last week, so I'm gonna have to bring the big guns back out again this week. So
What we
my
think?
starters, I have Kyle Larson, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and in my garage is Austin Cindric. I do think the Penske cars are going to be pretty good. So in this one, actually, I counteract with myself a little bit. So in my feature matchups, I have Ryan Blaney versus Christopher Bell. I actually picked Christopher Bell in this one. Chris Buescher versus Bubba Wallace. I picked Buescher. I do think the RFK cars are probably going to be pretty good too. Ty Gibbs versus Carson Hocevar. Got to go with Carson. He's been fast all year. And Daniel Suarez versus Brad K. I do have Brad in that one. My pick to win, sorry, Kyle, is Kyle Larson. Mom's pick, Brad, you're in good shape this week. She picks Brad Keselowski to win.
All right. Well, for my fantasy lineup and pick, I have a couple similarities to you, but I do have enough differences. Hopefully, I can make a difference this week. So I do have Kyle Larson, and again, where his first win was, he races pretty well at Michigan. Brad Keselowski, I got to go with the hometown guy. Again, Fords and RFK, I think are going to be solid. Ryan Blaney got the momentum, the fastest Penske right now. Carson Hocevar, probably the hottest driver right now, is under the radar of everybody. If he would have three top fives in a row, if he didn't blow up a couple times or have flats. And Chris Buescher's in my lineup. And in my garage is Tyler Reddick. And for the matchups, Ryan Blaney versus Christopher Bell, I do have Ryan Blaney over Christopher Bell. Chris Buescher is over Bubba Wallace. Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar got Carson Hocevar. And I have Keselowski over Suarez. The good picks this week. Denny, of course, he's won Michigan a couple times. Larson's won Michigan. Avoid Alex Bowman. He just hasn't been racing great lately. I think it could be a good. I honestly think it could be a good race for Bowman, though.
Yeah,
Hendrick's traditionally pretty decent at Michigan. Avoid Christopher Bell. Don't really agree with all of that. It's hard to really avoid Christopher Bell. I think he'll be solid.
especially this year, he's been
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, and sleepers Bubba Wallace, which if there's going to be some Toyotas that you could see, I could see Reddick and Bubba doing well. Well, unfortunately, Larson will have a DNF this week because he is my pick to win at Michigan as well. Uh, I I want sooner or later he's going to get his fourth win of the year, and
He's not going to have three or actually four relatively bad races in a row.
he finished eighth somehow in
Yeah,
Nashville, and I mean. He was even like, "Can we just finish? Let's just get it to the finish. Let's just be done with this." And somehow they worked on it and got it up to eighth place finish. So that shows a championship caliber crew,
yeah.
and it shows that Larson at least doesn't give up, which is a good thing. I mean, probably has a lot to do with that Cliff Daniels basically telling him to shut the hell up, so and stop throwing a fit. He'll be okay. Um, But I think that will do it for this week. That wraps it up. I believe NHRA is in action again this week. We'll touch on. I think they were in last week. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, they were in Epping, New Hampshire last week,
Yeah, did Tony
which
make
Tony
the final?
Stewart to another final.
Yeah, I about to say he made it to a final
Yeah,
again. Yeah, so he's shoot, is he the championship favorite in NHRA now?
I
So
could be.
for Top Fuel. So yeah, we'll touch on some more stuff next week. I want the biggest thing on this week. I wanted to highlight the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I don't have the cup with me. I was going to bring out the cup. We have really cool glasses from the Hall of
Oh
Fame.
yeah, they're very cool from the Hall
It's
of
I
Fame.
thought I had it right here. It's downstairs, but definitely really really cool. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow anywhere you get your social media, podcast platform, everywhere. I'll post a lot of this between Facebook, on X, and YouTube, and obviously you can listen anywhere you want to listen to your podcast. So we'll be back in action next week. We'll figure out how we want to do it next week. Might do some sort of Father's Day type special and just do kind of might do even a live show on TikTok. So look out for that. We might just do a live show on TikTok for next week's show. So I'll post stuff about that and probably do poolside again.
Live from Florida by the
Yeah, we'll do a
pool.
pool. Yeah, yeah, could do poolside. I like the TikTok live, so we might just do it that way.
Okay,
All right,
give it a
we'll
shot.
see you guys then.
All right, bye everybody.